Good morning, everybody. I hope you're all doing well today. I wanted to go ahead and go over our syllabus for EV 205. And I thought this would be a little bit more fun than you watching me read a lecture. So let's see how we go with this. So I want to talk about how we're going to run this quarter, some of the things that are going to be advantages over how we've done things before, and more or less just the flow of how things are going to work for you this quarter, and how we're going to work together in order to make this as good of an experience as we can. And I think in a lot of ways we're going to be able to do some things that we could never do before. So I'm actually kind of in a certain way looking forward to this. So welcome to my office. This is where I'll be dwelling. I'm really lucky that we have an apartment above our house. It's an Airbnb, and so I'm still at home, but I have my own workspace. So if you want to take a look around, we'll go ahead and look over here, and that's the door and a bed in case I get sleepy and need to take a nap. And then we also have a bedroom back over there, but I have a nice little kitchen and a workspace, so this is a good place to be. So we're going to have a good time. So let's go over the syllabus real quick and talk about what we're going to do. So Sabrina and I are going to be working together to deliver content. We also are thinking about maybe having you guys upload videos of you talking about the wines you made. We're going to record some Zoom chats. We're going to do a lot of stuff. We're just kind of figuring it all out. But of course, we really welcome your ideas too. So feel free to send us content, anything like that. I think we need to make this as social and fun as we can. Formal contact hours, the way I'm going to do it is that from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Every Tuesday, I'm going to have a Zoom call in, and this can be for Winery Ops, EV205, all things wine. Any questions you have, shoot them me beforehand, and maybe I can answer them for the class. And we'll just kind of jive for a couple hours, answer questions about assignments that are due and things that need to be done. And then every Thursday night, I'll be sending you guys home with a half a bottle of wine every week, maybe a bottle sometimes, for you to take home and try. And we'll do little master classes on those wines that you made, and of course these are going to be wines that you were a part of making, so you can chime in on those. So let's go ahead and go down through the syllabus. I'm not going to read the description or learning outcomes, but I do want to go over the schedule. So if you want to go down to basic schedule, every Monday between 11 and 12, just like we did, I'll have a wine kit available for you. That's when we pick it up. If you can't get it, then try to arrange with another student to bring it to you. Anything like that. And if you aren't going to get one, or if you're not going to be able to get one for any reason, let me know, because they're a lot of work to put together. So if I have to make one less, that saves me a fair bit of time. Then again, on Tuesdays, we'll have our Zoom call in. And then on Thursdays, we'll have our masterclass. Everything else is going to be self-guided. I'm just going to post up the lecture content. I'm going to post up any assignments as they're due in Canvas. And it's going to just be up to you to track along. That's kind of the ruling of the college, is that everything has to be asynchronous. We can't force anybody to be in class at a certain period of time. So that means it's going to be up to you to self-guide in that process. As far as the wine kits go, I think you're probably already aware, we're going to have little tasting vials, and those will be numbered or labeled with whatever they need to be. When you return those vials, if you could try to wipe off the writing on them, that would be really helpful. A little ethanol will do that, or a little isopropyl rubbing alcohol. If you don't have that, let me know. I'll get you some. Maybe I'll put out little vials of that next week. And then I have a bin at school I'll have out front for returns, and you can return them anytime as of Friday. Over the weekend, I'll just have a bin outside for you to just come throw them in over the weekend. And that bin will have a little bit of bleach in it, because that is known to kill any viruses or things like that. That way we know that we're being safe. So please return those bottles anytime. Rinse them out, clean them up, throw them in the bin on anytime Friday through Sunday, or even if you bring them back on Monday when you come to pick up your wine kit on Monday, that's fine too. I'm not going to use those that week. I have another set of bottles that we'll rotate through. Assignments, pretty much every week I'm going to have you write some tasting notes. So we want to have you guys actively engaged in writing tasting notes. So each week, generate some tasting notes about the wine we tasted in the master class. This week, I want you to generate tasting notes. The first week is a little different. I want you to generate tasting notes about all the whites that I gave you. The Merlot is optional, but all those whites, that's what I want you to write tasting notes. So this is your big week, because you're going to have to write 8 sets of tasting notes for all those whites that we sent home with you. But then after that, it'll just be one wine a week, but really detailed. Get really into it. Think about it. Don't just sit down and plow through the bottle of wine. Drink it over a couple of days, over a day or so. And you heard drink, because don't have to sip and spit when you're not on campus, unless you're not 21. And then, of course, I'm sure you will all abide by that rule, and spit. And so we're going to go ahead and do that. So taste those whites, write those. But every week, I just want you to write some tasting notes based on that red for the masterclass. And that half bottle, once I give it to you, if you want to kind of open it and taste it over a few days, that's a really good idea. It's fun to see how wines age out. So once you get that 375 mil, feel free to taste it and try it over a few days and see how it evolves and changes. It's going to give a lot of ideas about how that ageable that wine is. So now let's go ahead, and then we'll have a quiz that's due every Friday. You guys are very used to that. It'll open on Friday. It'll close on Friday. If you don't do it, you don't get the points for it. It's that simple, really easy. Every Friday, you've got an assignment due, some tasting notes, and you got to do a quiz. Not terribly hard. Just make sure that every Friday you do those. Your red wine log. So just make sure that your red wine log is complete. I'm hoping, still hoping, fingers crossed, that once we get into May, maybe June, that we can still get those wines out and actually bottle them. So here's to keeping our fingers crossed, right? We'll see how things go. And then finally, we'll have a final project for you. I haven't decided how it's going to go yet, but Sabrina and I will come up with something good for you guys to come up with a good final project, but something hopefully meaningful and useful. Now let's go week by week. So week one, filtration and bottling. We already did filtration. I'm going to go ahead and put those lectures back up again just for you guys to rehash them. And then I'm going to go into bottling and bottling QC. I might do cork versus technical closures. We'll see if I have time to get all that put together. It's kind of going to be my back against the wall on that, so I'm going to try. But definitely wine filtration and bottling, bottle quality control, I'm going to do that. And that's going to be in reflection to those whites that you're drinking. So I'm going to refer to those white wines that you've got quite a bit and how those were treated in different ways to be able to get there. And then again, the assignments is we'll do the call in and the Thursday night Zoom. Again, these are, we can't mandate that you do them, but we'd love to have you in on it. We'd love to talk to you. So if you have any questions, it's our time to do as close to face as we can. Week two, we're going to do oak. It's going to be a really fun one. We've got all sorts of oak trials. When Marcus went to France, he brought a litany of different things to us. So we have a lot of background from Marcus. And then the other thing we have is we have a tremendous amount of oak trials. So there's some really cool stuff that we're going to be able to present to you. And I bottled all those previously. So we'll be doing oak next week, and that should be a lot of fun. We'll talk about oak aromatics and things like that. Week three is going to be phenolics, and Sabrina's going to be doing that on theory, and then I'm going to talk about phenolics on all the 18s. I just put in the samples, so we should have a pretty good idea of what the most recent phenolic data are for those wines. And so we'll be able to talk about how amounts of color, how much tannin is in those wines. Week four, knocking on from phenolics, we're going to do finding agents, because the reason we find things usually is to remove some problem phenolics. We have some wines that are rough around the edges. So I'll hopefully build a big finding kit, and you guys will pick up wines that have been fined. So I'll pick a wine that's kind of got some burliness or something to it, and we'll try some different finding agents on it. It should be fun. Again, pick up the wines, and then we'll do that for week four. And our Tempranillo is going to be our master class that week. Week five is all about oxygen management. And I'm going to talk about how we use oxygen in wine for all sorts of different outcomes. And that wine kit is going to include everything from the Riesling that we floated with oxygen versus nitrogen. And then we're going to do some different wines that we've oxygenated in different ways to get different outcomes in terms of using red wine to build phenolics and structure. Should be a fun week. Week 6 and week 7 are both fun. We are going to do all kinds of stuff. So as you may have noticed while you were doing your vintage in 2018, we did a lot of wines, and we also did a lot of trials. So there's a whole bunch of stuff in the background that we get to finally break out to you. And this is personally one of my favorite classes to do. So I always like to show you the way you can bat wine around using different tools. And so this is a really awesome opportunity to get those wines out. So we've got your stem inclusion trials with the Joseph Christie Syrah. We've got mechanization, where we're going to look at that destimmer versus mechanically harvested versus destimmer versus crusher destimmer, and see how those wines are different. I tasted them the other day when I was putting up samples and was just absolutely blown away at how different they are. So I can't wait to present those to you. That's super exciting. This is the thing I'm super pumped about. And then we move into all my favorite stuff for sure. So week 8 and week 9 are a blast. So week 8 is fortified wines. So I'm gonna go into have Sabrina do the history. Then I'm gonna do a little bit more history, but more about production. It says history in the syllabus, but I meant production. So I'm going to talk about how you make the wines, different styles, different approaches to making different types of fortified wines. Then I'm also going to talk about distillation a little bit. Hopefully we'll distill a little bit. Again, I'm still kind of hopeful that we might get some time to come on campus at this point in time to do some social distancing and do some actual distillation, get the stills out and cook off some wine. Let's keep our fingers crossed. Maybe we can figure something out. I'm not sure what that looks like yet, but keep your fingers crossed. And then of course we'll do some stickies. And then the last week class is the sparkling wine, which is week 9. And again, I'm still hopeful that we'll be able to do this in some sort of a setting. I'm hoping that we're at the tail end of the kind of shelter at home type thing, that we can actually get together and taste. But if not, I'll pack everything up, send it home. But we'll do sparkling wine history. I'm going to talk about how you make it. We have a pretty good recipe that's worked really well. I'm really pleased with the quality of the sparkling that we're producing. And I think that, we've learned a lot over the 10 years that we've been making it now. And I'm pretty pleased with where those wines are going. I think we can give you more or less a recipe of how to do a good re-fermentation and get the quality that you want out of it. So here's our final point breakdown, which is all you really, what you guys really want is the grades. Just make sure you do everything. Just do the mini quizzes, do the tasting notes. We'll give you a final project, final exam, probably more of a project, and then your completed red wine log. So just make sure that it says everything it says, and I'm still hopeful that we're gonna bottle these wines. If we don't, then I'll let that one go. But if we don't bottle them this spring, I'm hoping that maybe we all get back together this summer sometime and get them put in glass for those of us that feel like we can do that. Until then, miss your faces. Take care, and let's just do this thing. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for us to engage in different ways. So I think we're gonna get a lot of content. We're gonna generate a lot of content, and I am honestly strangely excited about this. It's an incredible challenge, and I like challenges. And we're gonna learn a lot. And so stay in touch. Take care. Bye bye.